Hello and welcome to Media Watch. We start today's episode with a story on how your cell phones can accidentally call 911.
We'll also have Little Mosque in Israel, a report on how that popular CBC program made it on to Israeli television.
Well, we all know about the car that runs on gasoline, and we all heard about that car that runs on used cooking oil. But what about a car that runs on veggie oil?
Those are the stories, this is the program. You're in good hands with Media Watch.
Problem, and it's only a matter of time before it contributes to a tragedy. Emergency workers at Vancouver's Ecom Centre say they're being inundated with phantom 911 calls, not from pranksters, but from people who've pre-programmed 911 into their cell phones. And they're asking people to be more careful about how they carry those phones.
Would you like the police, ma'am? Are you in Surrey?
Do you need police, ambulance, or fire? For what city, please?
In the event of an emergency, of course, time is critical. But increasingly, at the nerve center of the Lower Mainland's Emergency Response Center, the lines of communication are breaking down, though no fault of the operators who answer 911 calls.
911, do you need police, ambulance, or fire? Hello? Hello?
That was just an open cell phone. So, yeah, I just heard, it was somebody driving. I could just hear traffic.
We take about 2,800 to 3,000 911 calls a day, and about half of those are from cell phones. And we estimate that several hundred a day are actually accidental calls. False calls from cell phones, false calls from landlines because people have pre-programmed 911, or they've dialed us by mistake and they hang up. And of course, we have to phone them back to make sure they're okay.
The problem is many cell phones have pre-programmed 911 dialing, even if the keyboard is locked. And we all know people carry these phones in all kinds of places, and sometimes all it takes is a little bit of pressure to trigger an emergency call.
It's not really frustrating, it's concerning. It's because we want to know that every call that does come through to 911 is getting the help or the service that they actually need. Mistakes are fine. It's not something that really makes us angry or frustrated. A mistake we can all learn from. But when it comes to an emergency, we want to make sure that those are the people that we're still able to get through to.
Landline 911 calls automatically display an address on Ecom's region-wide maps. Cells don't. And more people are opting to cancel their landlines altogether to use a cell phone exclusively.
Several hundred calls a day is a concern for 911 centers, and as our population grows and as more and more people start using cell phones, logic would dictate that, you know, more calls will come in.
Hi, it's Ecom 2220. I have an open Rogers. Hello?
In short, Ecom is getting swamped by phantom 911 calls. Many of the callers unaware they're choking the system. And the question now, is it only a matter of time when operators are too busy dealing with phantom calls to get to the real ones in time?
Hi, Burnaby, it's Ecom 2206. I have an open Rogers line. Some buttons being pressed and then this background noise. Thanks, bye-bye.
In the U.S., cell phone companies are required to provide emergency services with the general location of a cell phone call, but the CRTC hasn't made the same requirement in this country.
Our Peter Armstrong was watching.
In this, the holy city, there are little mosques and big mosques, hundreds of them. Their minarets pierce the skyline. It's a long way from the prairies, but now available in more than 500,000 Israeli households comes Canada's hit TV show, Little Mosque on the Prairie. In West Jerusalem, a group of Israeli Jews gathered to watch the show.
I like the idea of having a show about something that you can, you know, sort of exclude politics and hatred and just make it all funny and light.
Explosives? In East Jerusalem, a group of Palestinians tuned in to see if the humor translates.
Our sense of comedy is not what they have in North America. You know?
The crescent of the new moon must be observed with the eye,
It seems, though, that sense of humor may not be the same on different sides of the city.
What's wrong with December? Shorter days for fasting and way better shopping.
Scenes that get a big laugh in West Jerusalem are met with stony silence on the east side. Among the Palestinians, the punchlines were there, just at different times.
Osama bin Laden ran a construction company, too.
The discussion in both homes heats up as Little Mosque's credits roll. At the crux of it all, would they watch it again?
I can watch it as a comedy program that delivers a message in favor of Islam.
For Israel, it can be a funny show, but not more than. It's not really, it's very dull.
But for all their differences, both groups find a common message.
That's what I always said. To live in Jerusalem or to live in the Middle East, you have to have a sense of humor. Otherwise, you get into trouble.
The Israeli cable company has already optioned the rights to the second season, which is now airing in Canada, begging high hopes that the tales of this little mosque on the prairie can be a success in this land of religion and all its ensuing divides. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Jerusalem.
It starts just like your average everyday car. Drives like it too, except this is no ordinary vehicle. Eric Williamson runs North Van Green Tours. He drives a converted Toyota Land Cruiser which runs on recycled vegetable oil. It's basically a deep fryer on wheels.
I bring people here to Lynn Canyon and I collect the vegetable oil from the Lynn Canyon Cafe. That is a really big benefit locally because we don't have to transport the oil here from another place, and I'm using something that's here that would normally go to wasteful purposes.
Williamson's veggie oil truck is just the tip of the iceberg. Finding an alternative to traditional fossil fuels is big business. Researchers lining up to find the next gasoline. Problem is, there is no clear-cut next gasoline. There are serious impediments to all of the possible alternative fuel sources.
Well, I don't think there's anything that we really haven't thought of. I mean, all of the options we're looking at have been thought about for a long time. It's a question of making them more efficient and bringing the cost down.
The most efficient way to make alternative technology cheaper has most politicians running for the hills, the dreaded tax on carbon dioxide. A tax of $50 for every ton of CO2 emitted would basically raise the price at the pump 12 cents a liter.
Canada has our own federal issues where we have some regions, Alberta, Saskatchewan, who are fossil fuel rich, who fear that any effort to control greenhouse gas emissions will have an effect on their economy.
But the carbon tax isn't the bogeyman some make it out to be. In fact, it can be the jumpstart of an economic boom. It's already been done.
Just to take Norway as an example, they put in a carbon tax in 1991. At the same time, their economy on a per capita basis has grown faster than the Canadian economy on a per capita basis. Their emissions have gone down while ours have gone up. And they're a major oil and gas exporting country. Their oil and gas production on a percentage basis, again, has increased more rapidly than Canada's.
While government is reluctant to tax emissions, it's not opposed to taxing fuel. For every liter of recycled veggie oil Williamson puts in his truck, he pays various levels of government 21 cents a liter. Now, how is that incentive to switch over from diesel? The alternatives are out there. Biofuel, hydrogen, even the electric car is available. None are the complete answer, and researchers agree fossil fuel will still have to make up a part of our future energy needs. But until people pay the full price for fuel, including the cost of pollution, none of the alternatives will ever become attractive.
Well, another successful episode of Media Watch.
We hope you liked this edition.
From all of us at iNet, thanks for watching.
Peace out.